Hello, hello. Happy Monday. Welcome to episode 2 of Monetize with Megan, and we are talking all about the energetics of masculine and feminine. And it is such a hot topic right now. There's just so much noise out there around divine feminine, and the future of businesses is female and all of that. And while this is beautiful, such a beautiful new shift to the message and to the paradigm, it is really important for us to understand the actual balance and harmonics between masculine and feminine energy in business, because they are just both so relevant, so necessary, one as much as the other. And so a couple of things that we're going to go over today is, for those of you who don't know, I support my clients in creating 500K in 3 hours a day using energetics and simple strategies. And I'm also the author of The Closing Code. And these two things have required a beautiful harmonic dance of masculine and feminine energy. They just couldn't exist. There's no way that I would have been able to launch 4 businesses steeped in masculine energy or steeped in feminine energy and lacking the other. There's just no way. So if you're interested in 500K in 3 hours a day, or you want to get better at closing sales, then this information is really relevant to you. So first, we're going to talk about the 3 areas. I'm going to take that off because it's glaring. The 3 areas where the harmonics of masculine and feminine energy are most potent in business. So first, it's the foundation of business. The second is how I take care of myself as a CEO. And then the third is within your sales. Okay, so let's talk about the foundation of business and where masculine energy and feminine energy are required. And we really want them to stay in their own lanes, right? And this is, again, a dance, a harmony, not necessarily a balance. Sometimes I'm much more in my masculine energy and I'm moving things forward and I'm taking a lot of action. And then other times I'm more in my flowy, feminine, inspired, creative energy, and both are necessary. So when it comes to the foundation of the business, the structure of the business, this is how I balance the two. My masculine energy is the structure. It's the container that allows me to know what I do when I do it. Right? So, and for those of you who followed along for a while, you know that I make all my business decisions through intuition versus logic, and yet I have a container, right? So this looks like time blocking. This looks like the systems that I use within my business. This is organization. I don't let those things slide. Now, the first few years as an entrepreneur, I did. And I was just a hot mess. I was a visionary, no doubt, and I made great money, but I couldn't tell you how I did it, right? There wasn't much of a process. And really, I didn't need a process in the first few years as I was building to 6 or multiple 6 figures. But when I was ready for sustainability, repeatability, longevity, I really needed to bring in that structure. And that was the masculine energy. And that is something I still use today. It's why I can work 3 hours a day and run a 7-figure business, is because my structure and organization and the system within my business is grounded and solid. And that's my masculine energy. So where is the feminine? Well, the feminine is my inspiration, right? I always have these beautiful ideas. I'm so creative. Business is my art, right? Business is my art. And so I wake up in the middle of the night inspired to do more business, right? I have a new training in mind. I have a new offer. I have a new freebie, right? I'm always in this creative process and I'm so inspired. And my feminine energy is also where I make the big decisions. When it comes to money, when it comes to investment, when it comes to hiring or firing, my feminine energy is who makes the decisions. My masculine energy is what moves my vehicle forward. It is like the muscle. It is the vehicle, and the feminine energy is the fuel that drives that vehicle, right? So without my feminine energy, my masculine would have no purpose. There would be no purpose to have a structure, right? There would be no purpose to have systems or organization, nothing to do without an inspiration. And likewise, without the masculine energy, my feminine wouldn't know how to implement, right? So many women I speak to, they have these beautiful visions and they don't implement. Instead, they sit in their receiver mode a lot, because receivership is also the feminine. And so they sit in receiver mode and they'll do classes and webinars, and they'll read and they'll take in the information, right? They're taking it in, they're receiving, but then they don't implement and take action. And so a bunch of feminine energy without the masculine creating some boundaries and some container would just be all over the place. It would always be in the creative mode, but it wouldn't come into tangibility. And when you want to make 500K in 3 hours a day, or you want to lead a 7-figure empire like I enjoy doing, creating tangible results is pretty important. And so again, that is where I marry masculine and feminine energy within the foundation of my business. But there's 2 other areas that I create harmony with my inner masculine and my inner feminine energies. And the next one is self-care, and the last one is sales, because the foundation and the self-care really get to be in place for you to have fabulous sales. So in my self-care, I'm doing both masculine oriented, masculine energetic process. And this would look like self-reflection, right? Self-reflection on my own leadership. How did I show up today? How did I show up in the last quarter? What in my business is working? What's not working? Where can I make a shift to up-level my leadership, to increase my results for next time? Another self-care that is masculine oriented is inquiry. So self-reflection is kind of like inquiry, but that self-reflection is looking at the business, right? Where could I have tightened up? Where do I have gaps? Where did I do awesome? Where am I celebrating? And where can I increase next time, right? And then the next part of masculine processing here would be inquiry, self-inquiry. If you are not familiar with Byron Katie, get familiar. It's been like such a tool as I have built these businesses, is self-inquiry, because I know that my business and my finances, my family, everything is a direct reflection from my internal state. And so the other aspect of masculine self-care is self-inquiry. Is it true? I am not going to live in the emotion. I am not going to live in illusion. Thoughts and emotions are very close to illusions. They are often illusions. They're often not even accurate. And so I choose not to make business decisions from a space of thought or a space of emotion, only intuition. And so this process of self-inquiry, which leans more to the masculine because it's logic, is so freeing to realize some of the stories that I make up and have previously made up, they just aren't true. They just aren't true. But I don't stop with the logic, and I don't stop with the masculine, because what happens if we only process through the logic and the masculine is that somatically we get all stuffed up. Right? Like the way you can get stoved up when you have a cold, there's a lot of inflammation and backed up mucus. Well, that can also happen in our somatic system, in our energetic sphere, if we aren't processing emotion as well. And so during my self-care practice, the way that I implement feminine energy process is through movement, through sound, through breath. Releasing anything. I don't have to know what I'm releasing. I don't have to know why there's tears. I don't have to know why there's laughter. I don't have to know why there's feel good tingles or a tightening. It just is being with my body, being with my energetic body, my physical body, and letting the emotion move through. right? It doesn't have to make sense. Remember, we're staying in the feminine for this particular process. Now, when I fully process in both of these ways, both the logic and the intuitive, or not the intuitive, in the physical, emotional aspect, it clears everything, right? Now I'm a super clear channel. I'm such a clear channel, and this is why I have inspiration always pouring through me, always excited for the next business, the next venture, the next training, the next call with my clients. The inspiration is constantly pouring through because I've done self-care, both with the masculine aspect and the feminine. If you aren't processing the masculine, you probably feel like, I don't know what to do next. I don't understand. I'm in confusion. And if you are only processing feminine, or if you're only processing masculine, then you may have a overwhelm emotionally when you think about your business. Like, I feel frozen. I'm not sure what to do. Now, the third and final, most important space to have harmony with your masculine and feminine energy is with sales. This is so important. For those of you that don't know, my second out of 4 businesses was a sales agency where I went into corporations and I trained their sales teams, and I built multiple 7-figure business teams. I've done so for myself and other companies. And the secret sauce was having both energies within the person harmonic, not balanced. Balance is kind of a challenging thing, but being able to tap in and out of whatever energy you required at that time. Did you require more masculine or did you require more feminine? The ability to shapeshift which one is required in this conversation. So in sales, there's 2 pieces. In sales, you got to be the leader, right? You're the one leading the conversation, whether this is in a call or it is in person or it's in a sales page. In an enrollment or sales conversation, you are the leader. Okay. And as the leader, you are kind of like paving this path, which has a little more to do with masculine energy. When you're directing the conversation, when you are there to make sure that you get from A to Z with the person on the other line or the person in front of you, that is your masculine energy. However, your feminine energy is that which receives. Right? So in order to receive a yes, or in order to receive a payment, you're in feminine. Now, feminine doesn't mean leaning back and being passive, right? Permissive does not equal feminine, but receptive does. Receptive does equal feminine. So having a sales conversation is 2 things. I am leading, I'm also digging, I'm also excavating. What is it that is going to support this person? How can I be of service, right? These are very lean in, pursuant and masculine qualities here. And then as we're moving into the close and I'm welcoming somebody in, I'm moving into receptivity. Yes, I can receive this person. I can receive their yes. I can receive their payment. Now that receivership comes from a confidence that after that receivership, I can once again deliver, right? So you see how there's this wave, there's this leadership, which is masculine. Then there's receivership, which is feminine, which is delivery, which is the paradox. It's the combination of both of them. I would love to hear if you have any questions around this. What questions come up for you? Where do you feel you have the biggest gap? Is it in masculine energy or is it in feminine energy? Some ways to know that you have a gap in masculine is if there's a lot of disorganization, there isn't a consistency in results, and there is emotional overwhelm. A way that we know that you have a gap in the feminine is that, wait, did I just go over that one? Like, where did I go? Yeah, no, that was a gap in the feminine. Let's start over. A gap in the masculine means you're missing some masculine energy, is that there isn't structure. You don't feel organized. There is confusion. You're not sure on what your next step is. And there hasn't been sustainable, repeatable results. That means that there is a gap in your masculine energy, your follow through. And this all often looks like inner leadership, right? Now, when you this will also look like an overactive feminine, right? Which is a lot of the emotional overwhelm, not taking solid steps, staying in the imagination of it, letting the emotions run the boat. Now, when we start harmonizing these, that big overwhelm actually turns into inspiration, right? Because you have the container, you have the masculine container. And so now that overwhelm and that confusion turns into inspiration. I'm going to sneeze on a live training, real life. Now, if you are lacking the feminine, then what you're going to find is that you're on overdrive. You are actually overproducing. You're doing a lot of the action steps. You may even get good results, but there isn't a lot of joy. There isn't a lot of flow. It feels like you're really pushing that boulder uphill, right? And that is an overactive masculine, which is if I do more, if I just work longer hours, if I just make it a stronger close, if I'm just more aggressive and I don't give up, then I will get more results. Okay? So would love to hear your questions. If you have questions, drop them. I'll tune in and answer those questions. The way that we start harmonizing these two is exactly what I talk about in 500K in 3 hours a day primer. If you don't have that yet, drop below and you can say primer and we'll send you that primer. Because two things happen in that 500K in 3 hours a day primer. One, you bring in, are now enabled. You could, reactions. I was seeing a reaction balloon there. So 500K in 3 hours a day, you're bringing in the structure, which is, okay, all the things that are meant to be accomplished will be within this 3 hour time frame. And that means I can only focus on that which actually moves the needle. The energetic piece is to follow your intuition, not to follow your mind, not to follow your emotions. Those are, one, not your identity, and two, they're not reliable. But your intuition is always reliable. And so being able to follow through with listening to that intuition when you're in the midst of something, let's say a launch or a new masterclass or whatever that looks like, being able to follow that intuitive guidance that came through weeks before to guide you through this takes energetic alignment and inner leadership to follow the intuition that came through instead of going, oh my gosh, I'm feeling afraid. Oh no, I don't know what to do. So that intuition that came through before, I'm going to freeze or I'm going to back out or I'm going to quit. Those sorts of things stop your progress, right? It's one of those loops that entrepreneurs get in, and then they have years of proof that their business hasn't moved forward in a way that it really can when we bring in the harmonics of masculine and feminine. So below you can either ask for the 500K in 3 hours a day primer or the closing code, which is for sales. If you want both, you can put closing code and primer. If you want one versus the other, you can put primer or closing code. If you have any questions that come up around this, I will be coming back in and answering them. I can also do a live Q&A now. If anything pops up for you, I'll stay on for another minute or so. And masculine and feminine energetics. The closing code, you've got it, Vicky. Closing code is for you. And there you will, both please. Awesome. Well, we'll be popping those in. We'll send those privately to your DMs, closing code and 500K in 3 hours a day. These sorts of things will change the future of your business. And you are required to stick with it, right? To stick with it, that, oh, I always follow through. Oh, I always listen to my intuition. It just is what I do now, right? And at one point, I did not always do that. And then there was a day that I decided there is no turning back. Knowing how to generate $500K or $1 million or whatever it is in 3 hours a day must be my destiny. Knowing how to have deep connected sales that close and can be dependable at closing must be my reality. And it didn't become a tangible reality because I only stayed in the flow of it and imagining and playing with the energetics, but also because I grounded in and I did the things over and over and over. Over and over and over. So many times I heard people say, I've already done this before. What's the point? Me too, right? And so we make little tweaks along the way. Maybe it's with masculine energy. Maybe it's with feminine energy. You make that tweak and you move again. And then you make a tweak and you move again. Let's see, Vicky said, I look forward to learning from you at the Game of Business. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that, Vicky. I will be hosting the Game of Business and how to win it. It is learning to master the energetics of leadership and business to catapult your income. And this year, in 2024, I have 9 fabulous experts that will be there sharing their wisdom as well. And so we'll put that link in the comments here too, because I would love to see you there. You'll be in the room live with us and you can ask questions. It is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Bring your CEO self for that, right? Bring your CEO self. Be there from the beginning to finish. Let yourself go all the way in. CEOs and business leaders who have longevity in business have capacity to stay with it. To stay with it even when they're tired, even when the results haven't been what their human expectation was. They stay with it. So I would love to see you there. Thank you all for joining me today on episode 2 of Monetize with Megan. I will be back on Monday. Bye for now.